6 p.m. in Equinoxe, that is in the southwest region of Cameroon. Good evening, dear televiewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. 2 children aged 12 and 14 years old have died in Balum, that is a locality in the west region of Cameroon. The children were struck by lightning while they were searching for mushrooms in the farm. And Barrister Akere Muna plans taking Sonora, Glencore and the hydrocarbon company to court over claims of civil corruption scandals between the year 2011 and 2018. The lawyer is equally questioning government silence with regards to the cases of corruption reported in the companies. And tonight, I will equally be taking you to Kumba, Equinoxe Road, that is in the southwest region, which is in a deplorable state. The coming of the rains has further worsened the already slippery nature of that road. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us on today's edition of the 6 p.m. newscast. We begin with our human interest stories. 2 students of Government Technical College in Balum, that is in Penka Michel subdivision in the Menua division, were found dead in a bush in that locality. Sources say both of them, while searching for mushrooms, got struck to death by lightning. We have details of this road story with Esie Lucy Liengo.
Lifeless bodies of 2 students found in a bush in Balum, a village in the west region. According to sources, the students left their home on April 10 in search of mushroom in a bush close to their school. Tese Achamo, 14 years old, was in Form 2, and Ismael Nusi, 12 years old, in Form 1 respectively. Both students of Government Technical College, Balum, Peka Michel Subdivision, Menua Division. Sources also say the victims were struck by lightning as they left their homes after heavy rainfall. Their bodies were discovered with signs of injuries. Investigations have been opened to determine the exact cause of their tragic death.
A sad incident indeed. And the death of a 7-week-old baby at the Jordan Medical Center in Yaoundé has exposed the weaknesses of the hospital and equally the poor health system of the country. Cameroon's Health Minister, Dr. Manauda Malachi, during his visit at the hospital to examine the situation on the ground, complained that the health unit is not respecting the ethics of the profession. This is contained in a release made public by the Ministry of Public Health. We have details with Mala Glory.
The death of a 7-week-old baby at the Jordan Medical Health Center in the Cameroon's capital city, Yaoundé, provoked reactions from Cameroonians and also the country's health minister. Dr. Manauda Malachi visited the health center after the incident to evaluate the situation on ground. And thanks to the visit, he highlighted shortcomings of the health center in the care of the child, which could possibly contribute to the death of the baby. In a release from the Minister of Public Health, the minister says the unavailability of a pediatrician, the manipulation of the little baby by unqualified personnel, and a consultation via a phone call is very embarrassing for the state of this health structure. Manauda Malachi questioned why the baby could not be transferred to a higher hospital with substantial technical platform for a proper follow-up as the profession demands. The minister goes further to consult the administrative documents which reveals that an authorization to exercise has been granted to this health facility for Category C, the equivalent of a health center. Yet, Le Jordan Medical Center offers services such as a scanner, an operating room, which is irregular because it exceeded its regulatory capacities. The Minister of Public Health ended by ordering an investigation to be done in order to shed more light to this incident. This comes few days after a child was allegedly stolen at the Lakentini Hospital and a baby burnt at the Konsamba Regional Hospital in an incubator. These incidents and more exposes the poor health system of the country. Authorities are therefore called upon to revisit the sector in order to secure the lives of Cameroonians.
And now on to one of our major lead stories. As the rainy season approaches, the state of the Naki-Bankudu Road in the southwest region continues to worsen. The population plying the road say the absence of a drainage system on the said road is a contributing factor. We have details on the state of this road in this report compiled by Mala Glory.
The stretch of road linking Kumba and Ikondo Titi, especially around the Nake-Bakundu, a locality in the southwest region, is in a deplorable state. The road is almost inaccessible and is worsening as the rainy season approaches. A difficult situation for vehicles plying the road daily, as they sometimes get stuck in the mud. Locals blame it on the lack of drainage system in the locality.
There's no drainage there in that place. So we need that they should put drainage here so that when they will do a drainage, then the water will not stand there. So we have a problem there now, right now, because there's no drainage. So the water is coming there and just stand. So there's no way the water could find its way out. So that's the problem. There, that's why we come here. We have to push, and passengers must go down before they enter the car the next side.
The desperate population of Nake-Bakundu wishes for even a temporary measure to relieve them of their suffering.
Well, the only solution where they fit do when you see away, then no problem. We use that even for the next 2 years. Now for pull that seawater where they put up for Bole. When they trace seawater, because out of experience, only about 5, 6, 7 years ago when they run for the road, when play the water, so they just trace seawater. We use that for the next 2 years, 3 years with no problem.
The poor state of the road has increased the suffering of the people and also slowed down development and economic activities. A cry for local authorities to intervene.
And on to something else. Barrister Akere Muna wants the Cameroon justice system to investigate Sonara, Glencore and the National Hydrocarbon Company over civil corruption scandals between the year 2011 and 2018. Following government silence even after denunciations were made, the legal mind has decided to file 3 complaints against these companies located in Limbe, Douala and Yaoundé respectively in court. We have more in this report compiled by Innocent Aze.
The recent outing shows how sick and tired the legal mind is on these corruption scandals, regarded by government authorities with an eye open and the other closed, despite repeated denunciation. If authorities are slow to act, Barrister Akere Muna decides to file 3 complaints against the 3 companies in Cameroon for alleged corruption, money laundering, tax frauds and custom frauds. In the communique signed by Paul Mahel, spokesperson of the barrister, it is revealed that workers of the National Oil Refinery Company Sonara, Glencore Exploration Company Cameroon Limited, and the National Hydrocarbon Company were involved in many corruption scandals between 2011 and 2018. The complaints were filed at the Wuri High Court in Douala against Glencore, the Funzi High Court in Yaoundé against the National Hydrocarbon Company, and at the Senior State Council of Legal Affairs Department in Limbe against Sonara, urging the government to investigate the cases and take action. Barrister Akere Muna indicates to the legal department his availability and readiness to give details and additional relevant informations concerning the cases. It should be recalled the National Hydrocarbon Company has refuted allegations it is involved in the alleged corruption scandal. Glencore had admitted to have involved in corruption following its conviction on the scandal by the courts of the United Kingdom and the United States of America. Despite this, the company was still on the loose in Cameroon, a state of laws. With these complaints filed, arms are now crossed to see what actions will be taken by authorities.
And now we take our sports report. A young Cameroonian lady has been chosen during the Women's National Basketball Association's draft in the United States of America. The 23-year-old Dulcie Fonkam will now play with Seattle Storm and becomes just the second Cameroonian to play at that level in America. Smajikan Gabriel reports on who really this lady is. Stay with him.
First pick in the 2023 WNBA draft, the Seattle Storm select Dulcie Fonkam, University of South Florida.
23 years old Cameroonian Dulcie Fonkam Menjade enters the record book of the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, in America. She becomes just the first Cameroonian to be selected in the WNBA due to her impressive performance during the WNBA draft. Dulcie Fonkam Menjade was the 21st pick during the WNBA draft. She is now going to play for Seattle Storm, which is 4 times champions of the WNBA. Before being selected during the second round on the 21st position, Dulcie Fonkam Menjade ended last season as joint best player of the National Women's Basketball Championship for colleges in America and featured on the Team of the Week for Memphis Tigers. Dulcie Fonkam Menjade played with the Basketball Lionesses that won bronze during the AfroBasket tournament in 2021. The 23-year-old was born in Konsamba in the Mongo Division, attended government bilingual high school Maninguba before traveling to Yaoundé for her university education in the University of Yaoundé 1. Dulcie Fonkam Menjade has now become the second Cameroonian to play at the WNBA after Alvin Mendeng.
Fly lifestyle and rock the mirror with the Louboutin, crack rock, simple zip you like and you get 2 for 1.
And she's taking the flag of Cameroon to higher heights. And that's where we end the first part of this news. Talking Point is up next. Yesterday in the city of Douala, strong winds are said to have hit the area with several rooftops destroyed. On today's edition of Talking Point, I will be receiving an environmentalist. He'll be telling us about more on the causes of the strong winds and how we can better manage such a situation if we are confronted in such a situation, or whenever we are on the road or wherever we find ourselves. What should we do when faced with such a challenge? And today I will be receiving Dr. Ikindi Munjo. He is an environmentalist. It is a pleasure to have you, Dr. Ikindi, on Talking Point.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to share knowledge and to enhance life and avoid impact on human life as well.
So, Dr. Ikindi, what could have caused the whirlwinds noticed yesterday in the city of Douala?
Yeah, before talking about the reasons of the strong wind, it's just that I'll put it clearly, it's a natural phenomenon which normally up the sky you have jet spring, which usually triggers rain and wind, and it always happens. So, but the clear fact is that usually high pressure winds, where we'll talk about high pressure system of wind or temperature, atmospheric temperature, going to the lower side of the lower pressures. So you always have cold pressure or cold winds which build up to fill up the area which low depression. So you always have it, especially at the level of the marine domain. So basically, I witnessed it personally. So I saw a type of wind built up which swept sand across the beaches, and we could not open our eyes no longer. So it was a terrible one. We were just afraid of our lives, and we had to just run to a shelter and to say, okay, maybe it's just normal rain. But with the speed of the wind, we noticed that it was not a regular wind. And usually you have such a phenomenon which, like I did mention, from high pressure areas to low pressure, or where areas which you have that deficiency. And most of the times when the differences are high in a certain area, you always have that
high speed of wind, which sweeps everything along its way, and I just hope no human life was lost.
So, Dr. Kindi, knowing fully well that the city of Douala is densely populated, how come are we experiencing such a scene? We know such winds are very common in sparsely populated areas like in the far north region, in the north regions, where we talk about the monsoon. Should Douala city dwellers be scared at this moment?
I think being scared is an overstatement, but we should be aware. We talk about awareness of in terms of the alarm system, which at the national level can be set into place to help mitigate some of the potential impact which you can have. And the issue is that the communities need maybe a sensitization, but like you said, we need to be aware to know that when it is going to rain, or when we see the skies are quite dark, then we start noticing, because normally with the process of this atmospheric differentiation, you always have some pre-warning signs, and those pre-warning signs goes with the alert which has been put at the national level. So we just need to be a little bit cautious, and the type of houses that we have also may lead us to have potential impacts. But for now, the clear thing is that there are already alarm signals which has been set at the national level, which states that between the 11th of April and around the 20th or the 22nd or 23rd, you will always have those type of winds for these areas which are closer to the sea. Because remember, Douala is a low-lying site with estuaries and many rivers, and the aspect of inundation can be possible with such a wind, especially if the differential atmospheric pressure from the sea, which at the cold side, well, cold pressure will always come and blow back into the continent. So we can have inundation, especially if we have high tides, and you could witness such. But for my glaring example of yesterday, I saw the water current and the surface current of water change. I saw how those who are collecting the sand collectors with no swimming detailed equipment were just carried from one end to the other. So they were just like, wow. We said it was a difficult one. So like I did mention, there is call to awareness, and we can denounce the poor attitude of certain people with respect to when they notice it, they want to walk within the sequence of the wind blowing, which at times can also lead to impact. But like I mentioned, we need to be aware, especially with the aspect of climate change nowadays. We will witness in cold places, we will witness surely more cold. In the extreme north, for example, in Cameroon, you will witness more heat. And you will also witness this because at times they'll put it in a given way that maybe it's heavy wind or it's strong wind. So all those things we need to understand them. But what is clear with the littoral region is that we have a double phenomenon, which the sandy nature of the coast makes it already wind to blow the sand, and also the aspect of inundation. So human being might be impacted one way or the other, because there are other things which are not related directly to the wind. But once you start having this type of rain, you can have other issues like cholera, which you can have polluted water coming back up to the surface, which will blow back into the hinterland. So the precarious nature of some houses makes it not to suit the aspect of being not being exposed. So there is a lot of things to be done, but for now, I think the aspect of awareness is key, especially with these high winds which we have witnessed yesterday.
So you earlier said that in the days ahead we'll be experiencing more of such scenes. What precautions could be taken by the government to limit the casualties?
Yeah, for now, what is important is we see the Observatory for Climate Change issuing an alert and warning people the type of precipitation that we have, the type of temperature that we might witness in the presence of such scenarios, environmental hazards and all the other things which goes with it. But the government is doing a lot, but there is still, like I would say, Oliver Twist, which even if you give what we have given, we still need more. And more can only come in if the effective decentralization, which is a process ongoing already, which the government can, with the observatory, which is already a good thing, which sets out calendar in terms of agricultural calendar, which might be disturbed at a given time. So the observatory is really playing a role, but the role should not only be to give an alert, but the role should be able to have an alert system which goes on with the aspect of, we talked about a while ago about sensitization or awareness. So there is a part which the councils and all the other sectors must get involved, because when the impacts or the nature of the winds might get up to let's say 70 kilometers per hour, will have more impact. Therefore now what we just noticed was just something less than 50, which was not measured, but as presumably we can have more impact, and the government is really playing its role, like I did mention. But now the city council of Douala must get involved into these things, so that those who are built into those waterways, those who are built into areas which are dominated by tides, they should desist from giving them permits there in order to reduce the impact that we might have. Those who are in the health sector, is there a preparedness plan to say, okay, if for example we have this nature of wind, how are we going to react? Those who are those who are constructing the houses, how are they constructing the houses? Are the houses having areas which, if there is that high storm or there is that high wind, can they take a shelter there? So there are certain things which must go along with each, from the individual level to the council level and up to the central government. So each and everyone has a role to play in terms of this climate change issue, these high winds, which we might witness in the coming days because of this differential nature of atmospheric pressure. So let's just put it as such, that the government has done its own part, but we still need more to accompany these councils to have an aspect with the meteorological center, which is in Douala. So the alerts should be well prepared and organized and coordinated if eventually we have such winds which will pose problems to community.
Now, you witnessed what happened yesterday. I would like to know, when confronted with such wailing winds, how should the population react?
Yeah, for now, what is important is we see the Observatory for Climate Change issuing an alert and warning people the type of precipitation that we have, the type of temperature that we might witness in the presence of such scenarios, environmental hazards and all the other things which goes with it. But the government is doing a lot, but there is still, like I would say, Oliver Twist, which even if you give what we have given, we still need more. And more can only come in if the effective decentralization, which is a process ongoing already, which the government can, with the observatory, which is already a good thing, which sets out calendar in terms of agricultural calendar, which might be disturbed at a given time. So the observatory is really playing a role, but the role should not only be to give an alert, but the role should be able to have an alert system which goes on with the aspect of, we talked about a while ago about sensitization or awareness. So there is a part which the councils and all the other sectors must get involved, because when the impacts or the nature of the winds might get up to let's say 70 kilometers per hour, will have more impact. Therefore now what we just noticed was just something less than 50, which was not measured, but as presumably we can have more impact, and the government is really playing its role, like I did mention. But now the city council of Douala must get involved into these things, so that those who are built into those waterways, those who are built into areas which are dominated by tides, they should desist from giving them permits there in order to reduce the impact that we might have. Those who are in the health sector, is there a preparedness plan to say, okay, if for example we have this nature of wind, how are we going to react? Those who are constructing the houses, how are they constructing the houses? Are the houses having areas which, if there is that high storm or there is that high wind, can they take a shelter there? So there are certain things which must go along with each, from the individual level to the council level and up to the central government. So each and everyone has a role to play in terms of this climate change issue, these high winds, which we might witness in the coming days because of this differential nature of atmospheric pressure. So let's just put it as such that the government has done its own part, but we still need more to accompany these councils to have an aspect with the meteorological center, which is in Douala. So the alerts should be well prepared and organized and coordinated if eventually we have such winds which will pose problems to community.
So recently in the town of Boya, about 2 persons reportedly lost their lives due to the heavy floods. So are the causes of floods equally the same as that of the whirlwinds?
The steps to take is to find a shelter, and those who have vehicles, those who are moving vehicle bikes, should look for a shelter or sit on the floor, because such a wind might carry you and take you away. So, and they have some similarities, right? The similarity is that they act like flash. They are flashy. In the same sense, I say flashy, it means that they are fast. They act suddenly and they take you unaware, right? So in the flood, that was just the similar thing which we had there, and it is also a build-up, right? It's also a build-up, and if you take, for example, in the Mount Cameroon area, it's just a slopey area which you have many valleys, and these valleys are a potential area to collect water which can go in a particular direction and cause havoc downstream. And what you need to mention is, like I mentioned, we talked about awareness. Awareness is very key, and the aspect of climate change and alert, or not climate change per se, but what we are saying is that how do you prepare communities or cities that are in mountainous areas? I think we need to go back to the drawing board. There are certain things in terms of this decentralization which has not been effective, but I think this organization which are already well known can assist this council of this mountainous area, and also those in the estuaries like Douala, to avoid because the aspect of flash flood is just like you can have river flood, right? So it can happen at a given time which water cannot go back to the sea. So what do you have? You have inundation. So what we are saying basically in the situation of the Mount Cameroon area is that we need good waterways. When I say good waterways is that they have broke houses, right, to open the waterway, but I think not only broken, but also make it in such a way that you call architects and those who are in touch of hydrology, geologists as well, to see what are the potential ways of reducing, because we cannot stop water from running down the mountain, but what are the potential ways to reduce impact in the future term. So basically surface water mixed with surface water and mixed with soil was flushed from the mountain, and because of the slope, and so you have that impact down there.
And is there any other thing you would love to add in relation to the whirlwinds we noticed in the city of Douala yesterday?
The simple word is that everybody will be impacted one way or the other. We need to contextualize the strategy and the alert system so that it makes it easy for this community to be prepared. And let's also not forget that sensitization and communication is very key in reducing the impact, especially on human life.
Dr. Ekindi Modingo, our major guest right here on today's edition of Talking Point. And that's why we put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more programs on Equinoxe Television. So long.